Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Poison Rana, the Patreon. If you're listening to this, it means you are a friend or family member of the show. Hello, Poison Pals, and hello, wrestling friends. We are here today for a special best match ever. And we are going to be talking about Kairi Sane or Kairi Hojo, but we can't do it alone. We are joined by a friend of the show, the legendary Karen Peterson.
Hello, gentlemen. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy American Thanksgiving. Happy
American
belated
Thanksgiving.
Canadian Thanksgiving to you all.
Yeah, the real Thanksgiving was a month ago. Shout out.
It depends on who you ask, right?
Yeah.
I don't celebrate either.
Yeah,
so
true. Yeah.
I can either celebrate both or neither and not feel any different, really.
We're Christmassy.
Yeah, I'm a
the
Christmas
BD's
guy.
Christmas. Yeah, exactly. How's it going, Karen?
Good. Well, I am at home for the holidays, as it were. So the normal backdrop is this is my parents' house. So apologies for all the very much like grandma kitsch we've got going on with like knitted blankets and aromatherapy and stuff. So, but
It looks lovely.
it's quite
Very
cozy,
zen.
even though it's still rather warm here in Florida.
Excellent.
Well, we have a special show. We haven't chatted with you in quite a while, but the last time we did, we had a pretty fun time, and it was to chat all about some Joshi wrestling, to talk all about my personal favorite wrestler, Io Shirai, or as some call Io Sky. And Karen, we had such a good time that we kind of thought, why aren't we doing this with Kairi? Because we kind of mentioned Kairi throughout that entire podcast. And I mean, spoilers, if you're listening by now, you might know Davey's favorite, Kairi, who's kind of joining us on the set.
She's just
right
behind
now.
us watching on.
We've had this cardboard.
Making sure we're complimentary about her.
Yeah, we got to be on pristine condition here. Say some nice things. We've had this Kairi cutout for like years now, and we've actually brought her along to like shows and to different things. So shout out Scrump, I think, who was sent it to us. So Kairi's been in our
Way
hearts for a
before
while.
Bullet Club Gold had Switchboard.
Yeah, we were ahead of
Whatever
that.
that-
Yeah, we had.
You were ahead of your time.
Absolutely.
Card Kairi, I guess, is what you could have called her. But yeah, we go way back with some of these things that are on our set. So we're huge fans of this. And you, Karen, are like the expert when it comes to anything related to Stardom, especially. And we thought we can't do this show without talking to you again. So I'm looking forward to this because we have a weird like book club of wrestling. We kind of say, hey, we're going to watch this wrestling event or watch this movie or watch these matches. And we tell our listeners, and then some of them seek these out and then watch them and then listen to our review. And it's become a bit of a fun little thing that we do. And we got you to like curate a playlist. And Davey, this playlist Karen made was like extensive research.
I feel bad. I feel like I asked Karen to choose between her kids because to make this list because we normally just Braden and I kind of go on Cage Match and kind of curate the list based on sort of, you know, highest Meltzer ratings, highest like audience ratings, that kind of thing. But we know you as the expert. So just like we did for Io Shirai, we put it in your hands. And I'm working at my bar and I get the document and I like open it briefly and I'm like, yeah, I'll sort it out later. But I'm like, thanks, that's great, because it says here are 6 must-watch matches. And then I scroll down and here are 10 other must-watch matches. And then here are the honorable mentions. And I'm thinking, fuck, I've got work today, work tomorrow, NXT, and then we're recording. When am I watching these 20 matches? So
I am so
asked
sorry.
you to narrow it down. No, don't be. And we're certainly going to work our way through the rest of the list. But it's difficult, isn't it, when selecting to just narrow it down to kind of we normally do between like 5 and 8 on this show.
I think WH we did 2 Muda shows with him, and I'm thinking it was the same thing. He sent like 12 matches.
Like sometimes it's fine because you get like 10-minute matches and things like that, so you can kind of watch a few. But it's a reason why it's War Games is coming up this weekend, and we've never done a best match ever War Games because we don't want to watch like 8 near hour-long matches.
Yeah.
In my defense, though, the opening to that list was that when Kairi first came back to Stardom in 2022, 2021, when she finally announced that she was a free agent and she was going to work like pretty much exclusively with Stardom to help like bridge the gap between old Stardom and new Stardom. They put together a 6-match collection on Stardom World called the Kairi Collection, which is those were the first 6 that were on the original list that I gave you. And I'm like, I kind of felt like picking from those 6 matches was kind of like cheating. So I didn't want to like use them for today's discussion, but you know, when the Poison Rana fans want to eventually expand their horizons, I recommend going through those. So I picked 6 matches that weren't those purely for that reason, because I felt like it was kind of lazy. Like they did the work for me, and I'm like, well, the matches are great and all, but I kind of want to, you know, I wanted to be in the driver's seat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I love that they did that. I remember we had Stardom, so we actually did look at those, especially for the last show that we did on EO because of some of their matchups. But yeah, I saw that going on Stardom yesterday and today to watch some of the matches and right there, first thing that popped up was the Kairi collection. Like, wow, she's got her own collection.
Well, we can always do a part 2 as well.
Yeah, part 2. We looked at EO all outside before WWE, and then here we're looking at Kairi all outside WWE. One day we'll have to look at their in WWE.
I feel this time round with Kairi, like I really got into Kairi in sort of Mae Young Classic and NXT. Main roster, like she's had her moments, but I think of her more of like the highest she got to was kind of the heel tag team. Right. And I don't think we've seen that kind of, you know, pure babyface underdog Kairi, which is where I think she's best suited on the main roster. But I think everything's looking a bit more positive right now with Triple H in control and Damage Control kind of working right now. So I'm very optimistic of this run, and I'm sure we're going to have some matches to talk about in the future of her WWE career.
That's what sparked this, like, because she came back recently. It's like, whoa, with EO being WWE champion, WWE Women's Champion, and Kairi coming back, it's definitely a great time to kind of revisit. Maybe some people don't know some of the stuff that she has done before. Maybe she only has kind of people know of what she did in WWE. So think of this as kind of some buried treasure, if you will, for Kairi, the pirate princess. But yeah, this is pretty cool, and we get to nerd out over some wrestling. But Davie really is a huge Kairi fan. That is it not the NXT match where she wins the title?
So yeah, NXT a great story. Brooklyn 4, I think it is, when she's against Shayna Baszler. I got like floor seats near the aisle, and I just said to the people like in seats 1 and 2, which is right by the ramp, I said, hey, I'm not gonna be rushing to the ramp at all during this show. All I ask is Kairi's entrance, and if Kairi wins, I'd like to go to the ramp. And they were like, absolutely. I don't think they even knew who Kairi Sane was. They're like, sure, whatever. So, and you see as she's going off to battle to face Shayna Baszler, she's coming down. I salute her and send her to victory.
So he texts me like a minute before her entrance. I'm watching at home on TV, right? And he's like, watch Kairi's entrance, watch the entrance. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. And sure enough, if you watch her entrance for that NXT show, Davie just gives her an old salute to the ring. He's right in the camera. It's so funny. So, and then I think you got to meet her at a bar after. So really,
I met her in New Orleans while she was still in NXT. And it was funny because there was this bar, and a lot of the like wrestlers went there as well because New Orleans is pretty small. And like you're a big Asuka fan as well, and I just heard, oh, Asuka's here, and I kind of see this pink hair over, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get a photo with Asuka to kind of annoy Braden for not being there. And then she turns around and it's not Asuka, it's Kairi, and I get all like giggly and shy, and I'm like, oh, can I have a photo? And I'm dressed ridiculously. I'm wearing like AJ Styles elbow pad, and she points and she's like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, you need one. You do the anchor elbow pad. Why are you not selling one?
Yeah, true. Yeah. So yeah, he got to meet sometimes you should meet your heroes,
and it's crushes. One of the, you know, whenever I seem to have like a photo with like someone I like respect, a celebrity or whatever, it's you don't want to take too much of their time. So you always end up with a really blurry photo because you don't want to go, oh, this one's like kind of bad. Can we retake it? Can we try with the flash on or whatever? But Yeah, always been a big fan.
The Instagram girl pro tip: whoever's taking the picture, have them rapid fire it.
Yes.
Like,
Okay.
so you have several
Always.
photos.
Yeah.
Or take a video and then you can, like, with high resolution, then you can screenshot
Yeah.
the video.
Oh, imagine a
the
video
Instagram.
of you meeting Kairi. You just be, oh, hi Kairi. Hi, nice to meet you.
Well, I was gonna say, if you want to do a deep dive on NXT, there are probably 2 times that you could probably find me and her interacting at ringside.
Yes.
One was when she and Asuka came to do the NXT, or not the NXT Women's Tag Championship. Then they did the Tag Team Championship defense against Tegan Nox and I believe it was Dakota Kai. I brought my Japan flag and I was waving it at ringside. She comes over and grabs it. And then there was another time, I think it was after she had won the championship. I was at ringside with some of my girlfriends at the time, and she just walks over and just throws her arms around us. And we're like, "Oh my god!" And then we're like fangirling behind her. It was simpler times, happier times, pirate times.
So when did Kairi first come on your radar?
I was the very first time I experienced her was at the Mayon Classic. I had bought tickets. Because I live in Orlando, so it was at Full Sail. Unfortunately, at the time I was on crutches, which sucked because I had done something to my knee, and I was on the second row. And of course, my seats were right behind the 2 tallest guys in the dang building, and they insisted on standing up a lot of the time. And I'm there, I'm trying to take pictures, I like these 2 silhouettes, like carving out every photo I have. But the Mae Young Classic was my gateway into Stardom, honestly. And then it was as they kind of wove in a lot of, not just for Kairi's matches, but any of the women that were in the Mae Young Classic that went to Stardom, they had like clips here and there, but it wasn't until like she had won and was like won the whole thing, and it was like full on she's in NXT, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should learn more. And then Io's name started floating around. That Io was supposed to come with her at that time, but then due to, I guess, a medical issue, she had to delay a year, and then Io carried Stardom for like another year before she was able to come over and join NXT as well. So, but yeah, that was my first experience, was the Mae Young Classic, being like, as a girl who lives in Florida and loves pirates, I was like, this is my girl. She's the one.
I feel there's definitely kind of I mean, it's only been in the last decade really where they've started taking a real focus on the women's division in WWE. But also I think foreign talent, like now you're seeing it be way more normal. And there's still obviously that language barrier, but I think Triple H always managed to handle that pretty well in NXT, and now you're starting to see it bleed across the main roster, like with Nakamura. Like video promos, I think he's way more captivating than he's been for years in WWE. But I think Asuka was really the gateway for like the likes of Kairi and Io to come in, where there's this sort of buzz when you see, oh, they've signed another one, like Japanese woman to the company. Well, Asuka was fantastic, so I'm excited to see what Kairi does, and then I'm excited to see what Io does. And I think all three are very different as well, but have their own kind of unique charisma that is really like transcends language barriers.
Yeah, it's definitely bringing in certain talents that you would never maybe see before. Like obviously wrestling if you watch old wrestling, think back, like they would always have people jump into different countries and doing different shows and promotions, but having like the chance taken on them, like using Asuka in NXT, I think definitely kind of opens a lot of doors and a lot of eyes to like all these other people and all these other talents. And definitely when Kairi and the Mae Young Classic started happening, and then when you brought in Io to NXT and everything they started doing, it started to like really, really work. And it's so cool to see and so refreshing to see like foreign talent being used properly, because like in the past it hasn't been. And seeing like NXT's first USA show having Io come out the first person, like the way they're using their talent now is definitely you feel better as a fan, like that these people are insanely talented and sometimes are like relegated to the side or comedy. And I think of stuff that they still do, but for the most part they definitely changed some of their bad habits that I am a fan of now.
It's one of the things where they have, as an international company, they have the resources and the ability to hire translators to do video promos and translate and subtitle. they have the ability to give the talent access to English language as English as a second language courses. And it like that was always one of my biggest nitpicks, was that especially going to shows and like people who would bring up the what chant for any wrestler who's trying to cut a promo in their second language. I'm like, please don't, because you don't know how insulting that is, because it kind of infantilizes people's mentality of how these international talents are, as if they can't communicate or say what they want to say. They can say, if they're allowed to let go in their own language, and that's something that Triple H was really good about, not just in NXT, but now, you know, as you guys both touched upon, is that it's more of they're letting people speak in their native language, so they're able to express more and say more. And it doesn't take much to hire a translator and subtitle a video.
And that also way, just kind of having them, even for in-ring segments, sort of go off in their native language and then just ending with 3 words in English, whether it's, you know, last man standing or something like that. You know the gist of what they're saying. We've all seen wrestling promos before. Like, the content is usually quite the same. You see you're fired up. They're probably saying, I want to kick your ass, and this Sunday you're going down and I'm going to be the champion. Like, I don't need to understand the words you are actually saying. And now you can go back, and there are the translations right after who have you. So it's way easier now, I think.
So you watched Kairi in the Mae Young Classic, and then that kind of, you jumped over to watching more and more Stardom, and then that's kind of where you...
It was kind of more of the, like, I would like casually dabble here and there. I didn't have Stardom World up until probably until I started, probably 2019 was when I actually started watching shows regularly on Stardom World. Other than that, it was like kind of dabbling on the YouTube, going to like Daily Motion and maybe Billy. But just for the record, you know how much I love Poison Rana? I went on Reddit for you all. I never go on Reddit to find anything, and I had to go on Reddit to find one of the matches.
I still just don't understand Reddit, so
yeah,
I don't understand it. I don't like going on it.
I actually, I don't use it a lot, but I'll be honest, I use it most when we are doing this show. I do look up, like, okay, what have some people said on Reddit about the best of certain people, and sometimes they link and put links up. So that is somewhere I have gone to for wrestling, definitely. That's what's crazy. You think back, people were tape trading, like, oh, have you seen these crazy matches from Japan? Now it's like, hey, you could watch these videos of stuff that might not be on like national television here, or really even that popular over here. But then look, you got a Fed starting up in New York, a Joshi Fed now with Suki Band, right? So it's like, if there's interest in it, like, it'll just keep getting bigger and bigger. And you kind of see that because in these matches we'll talk about, we'll go through them in order, obviously, but like some of the Stardom shows, they're really small little like gyms sometimes. And then fast forward to some of the shows they're doing now, obviously they got Bushiroad behind them, but like, it looks amazing, and you're kind of like happy as a fan, like, wow, look at you guys go.
Yeah, so, especially like the stuff at the Edion Arena just looked so perfect. It looked like, I mean, obviously it was one of them is a New Japan crossover show, but all the kind of post Kairi run, post WWE run, just look so much upgraded.
Yeah, the matches that we're going to cover today, the 3 that are pre-WWE Kairi, they're pretty much also the pre-Bushiroad acquisition era. It's 2015, 2016. Like, there's Akron Hall makes a couple of appearances, but the other venue is a very small one in Yokohama called Yokohama Radiant Hall. It's not the Yokohama Arena, which they've been running recently. So it's very much you can see the difference, not just in the presentation and the pageantry and the costuming, but the venue size and the number of people who are actually on board and behind Stardom.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah.
Well, usually on this show, we do some sort of star rating to find out what match we do like the best from this. But since Kairi is a pirate, I was wondering if we do some sort of pirate star
gold
rating.
Coins.
What do pirates? There's treasure. I was maybe going forward, like, if you didn't like the match, it would be like a Captain Morgan. If the match was like in the middle, it's like a Blackbeard. I don't know who's the top pirate though. I couldn't decide between Hook and Captain Jack Sparrow, but Kairi is one of the best pirates of all time. And if WWE's smart, you'd still push that, because how long for so long we were like, yo, are they selling those pirate hats, or do I have to go to a costume shop to get one and make it myself?
I feel we'll need to get through all this damage control stuff.
Yeah, she's not gonna be a pirate.
Explores being a pirate.
Yeah,
again,
she's like a cyber pirate right now. But
one day she'll just find a telescope or a treasure chest, and like it'll bring her back.
Yeah. Oh, I did like her. I heard Paul Burchill might be coming back. You could easily, pirate gang in WWE. It could be upon us. But yeah, however you want to rate things, we can go forward. But I'm excited to talk about these matches.
I'm just going to... And we're back. So, Karen, you've selected these 6 matches. We'll definitely go into some honorable mentions after.
Yes.
And I know this was traumatic for you, narrowing it down to these 6. But we will go into them right now. So let's start with the first pick, which is for the World of Stardom Championship, Kairi Hojo taking on Takumi Iroha. And Karen, please correct me any mispronunciation during the show. This is from the Stardom Galaxy Stars 2015 from the Yokohama Radiant Hall on the, I've got to switch the dates around because I'm British, the 4th of July, 2015.
Yes. Apologies. My American is showing.
So what is kind of the backstory going into this match, Karen?
It was one of those things where I think this was probably at the height of Takumi's time in Stardom. She started out in Stardom and then would in 2016 leave to go join Marvelous, and basically now that's where she wrestles full time. She's the ace of Marvelous. She's also I believe it's West Coast Pros current women's champion. So she has been coming to the States here and there. A lot of people may recognize the name from not last year's 5-Star Grand Prix, but 2 years ago, where she had some outstanding matches. So I wanted to include her because I feel like this is probably one of the more technical matches that I curated for today. But I just really love watching Iroha wrestle, and I just loved seeing this kind of match where it's this is very much baby Kairi. This is 2015. She had been only wrestling for a few years at this point.
So as you said, it's very technical. They start off with just a lot of grappling and mat work. You get the sense they're both trying to feel each other out a little bit. It starts getting a bit more heated as they're trading forearms. Iroha then gets Kairi in a camel clutch and almost like a chokehold and is just grounding her to the mat. Kairi comes back and goes for this head scissors, but Takumi just shrugs her off and delivers this elbow to the back. Kairi then fights back with a spear that sends Takumi out of the ring. And now Kairi goes to the floor and she's chopping her and she's dominating her. She drags her into the ring and applies this surfboard stretch, climbs up top and hits the elbow drop to the back, and now applies the anchor, kind of her sort of clover leaf here.
Yeah, she does it differently than a lot of other wrestlers.
Bends right back.
Bending you backwards. It's nice.
Looks great. Takumi then comes back, goes to the top, and tries for a spin heel kick, but Kairi moves out the way. Kairi then scales to the top, but Takumi leaps at her with an elbow and goes for a superplex, but Kairi's trying to fight out of it and manages to get Takumi down and delivers the double stomp to the chest. She then hits her sliding D and this beautiful spin back fist that she calls the cutlass. I love Eddie Kingston, but this looks so much better than his spin back
how
fist.
does Kairi Zane's look better? But it is true.
She's half the size of him, and it just looks deadly. It's really so snug. Goes for her elbow drop, but Iroha gets the knees up and goes straight into the crossface. You notice here that Takumi is now bleeding from the mouth, so maybe that's why that back fist looked so good, because she just clocked her. There's then this deadlift German as she kind of just yanks Kairi away from the ropes. Great spot here. This time Takumi goes up top for a high splash, but Kairi gets the knees up and then does this sort of bridging pin attempt for a near fall. They're now both getting up on each other's knees, exchanging forearms and just really stiff shots to each other here. Kairi goes for the spear again, but Takumi catches it and delivers this huge power bomb and then drags Kairi into the middle of the ring with this single-legged Boston Crab and she's just like going in deep with this. There's a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count, and then Takumi like grabs the wrist, and it's as if she's going to drag her back to her feet for like another powerbomb, but Kairi leans back and manages to apply almost like a European clutch here for the win in 17 minutes 45 seconds.
Yeah, the finish there came out of nowhere with the surprise pin that I was like, oh, whoa. So I kind of, it did remind me of like European clutch, almost like that Last Supper Derby kind of does in a way. But yeah, pretty wild match and great back and forth where both of them were like getting out of each other's holds and their finishes. But I kind of liked the mat wrestling and like submission games from I'm blanking on her name.
Iroha.
Yeah, Iroha. Like her mat wrestling was incredible. She had this like upside down gory special kind of thing going on earlier as well. It was very impressive. But yeah, super fun match. Very aggressive for both of them. And to end with that finish makes you kind of wonder if they had another one, because it when someone wins like that, there's always the argument of like there's another level they could.
You always get like, I love the sort of surprise flash pin finish. I hate roll-ups when people are just like, oh, I'm surprised for 3 seconds. And like, I hate that. But when it's like a counter of a submission and you're really pinning, like there's just no way to escape from it. I really like that kind of finish, but it does leave, you never get that sort of big pop, I feel, when it's like that from the audience, because they're always like, oh, wait, the pin happened now. And you definitely got the feeling that there was kind of more coming to this match as well. So for me, it was like it didn't quite reach that next gear, but I was really enjoying it up to this point as well. Like I loved the content so far. I just kind of was hoping for that kind of next level.
One of the reasons why I also like this match was it reminded me of her match against Shayna, where Shayna had the Kirifuda clutch on her and she flipped out of it and pinned Shayna and won. Yeah. So it was just because that's the thing, is that I love a good match that has that build up and, you know, the finisher and the other finisher and kicking out and all, but also I feel like the flash pin is sometimes underrated. So I wanted to have at least one. And like, I realized that like compared to the EO one, she loses a lot more in this edition.
And
I apologize for that. It's more of the baby face looks better when they're fighting out from underneath, and sometimes they end up looking stronger in defeat. So.
Yes, that is true. All right. Did Io win more on her show? And then this show, it's all Kairi losing?
Yeah, it was it was pretty much a WWE career as well, isn't it? She had a NXT moment for a month or so. And, but yeah, no, I thought this was great. I loved some of the counters. I always love the spot where someone kicks out of a pin and they just grab it right into a submission. I always think that looks good. And yeah, just both very, very smooth and snug with each other.
Pretty impressed by Iroha. Yeah, there was some great submissions and back and forth. So really bringing it. And this is what, from 2015? Something like that. So like pretty crazy, very like somewhat ahead of their time, because there's a lot of talent these days that are still doing this style, and it's very popular now. So
I love as well the actual pin, and you don't really see this much because a pinfall is both shoulders to the mat, and obviously you see a lot of kickouts where you kick your legs up to force your body to get the shoulders up. Takumi is like kicking her legs here, trying, but her shoulders are still stuck to the mat. So it almost looked like a kick out, but there was nothing she could do. And I like that, rather than just suddenly your whole body just dies when you're being pinned. Like it felt more kind of believable to me.
One of the other things I really miss about this era of Stardom, I love the pageantry and entrances that they have now, don't get me wrong, but there's something about seeing streamers that open up a match. I wish they would bring the streamers back, because I really like the visuals.
Have they been banned or something now?
They pretty much went away once Bushiroad took over and started doing things more regularly. And then once the pandemic came, it was pretty much that was the death knell for it, as it were.
Yeah, I guess they don't want.
You need disinfected
toilet paper
streamers. Yeah,
like the pandemic when everyone wanted.
Well, maybe that's why we were running out of toilet paper, weren't we?
Yeah, sure.
Braden, you can start this. What would you give this match?
Yeah, out of all the stuff I watched today, it wasn't my favorite one, but definitely was still a great match to watch. So I definitely go like a higher up there. Not the full 5, not my Captain Hook, but definitely in the middle there. Maybe a 4 is where I go, because not knowing a lot about Takumi Iroha, like very impressed by some of the moves back and forth. Kairi, I know it's so like it could be jarring for some people. Kairi is like one of the tiniest wrestlers going, and yet has like some moves that like some big guys in wrestling don't even do. So like she's way more impressive, and I love watching her.
She's got that Rey Mysterio thing about her,
yeah,
like, where you would look at her and you go, "You're a wrestler, really?" And then just you believe her. And I think she definitely works better as a babyface being beaten down, who then can come out. And I said, like, her strikes, that back fist just looks so good and deadly that you believe her that she can beat these people. I went for a 4 as well. I felt this match is like a great appetizer. I feel like this would be a great kind of opening match for a big show. Mm-hmm. You know, like it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's really high quality wrestling. Leaves you wanting a bit more. It's not going to take away from like your main event of the show or whatever. But so therefore, as like the first match to watch of this whole series, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It was one of those things like I knew that probably Takumi Iroha wouldn't be on your radar all that much. I will chase up some of her 5-star matches to send to you guys. So I think you'll really enjoy comparing this match to where she is right now. But yeah, was it one of my absolute favorite matches I've seen? No, but I feel like this is a very good foundation piece for this kind of program.
Right.
So, also a 4.
Also a 4. Don't have a Meltzer rating, but I do have a cage match rating, which is an 8.14, which is kind of about a 4 as well. So we move forwards to Korakuen Hall on the 26th of July 2015. Kairi Hojo versus Meiko Satomura for the World of Stardom Championship at the Stardom X Stardom event. Why is this match in the list, Karen?
This is one. I feel like I also have a lot of love for Meiko Satomura, and her involvement in Stardom at this time she was very much like the big bad wolf that would come to town and make everybody's life a living hell. And this match this is during Kairi's run as World of Stardom champion. So it was one of those ones where it was like, all right, because they don't call Satomura the last boss for nothing. So it was I felt like there had to be at least one Satomura match on this list. And I also loved that this match had Bull Nakano on commentary, because, you know, women's wrestling history and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that after you go with the recap, I did do a translation of some of the bits at the end, which I think you guys will enjoy. But it's just one of those things where when I watch this match and I see what the kind of limited scope or short rope that they let Satomura have when she was at NXT UK, I kind of feel cheated. Because I feel like a lot of people they would watch NXT UK and be like, I don't get the whole Satomura thing. I don't understand it. And I just want to be like, go watch this. Go watch all of her old matches in Japan. Because this is one of them that I would highly recommend to anyone who's just like, I don't understand what all the hype about Satomura was. But
we got to taste
it, I'll tell you why.
I mean, on our EO show, we watched EO versus Meiko, and like that match blew my absolute mind. And could almost say the same with this one here, because Meiko Satomura is just amazing. And you know, side note, she's signed to WWE. They could be totally using her in a killer, you said big bad wolf kind of scenario. Like have her come in and wreck Rhea Ripley, and boom, she's a star.
I mean, this is going to date things, but the men War Games, it's 5-on-5. Like a 5th Damage Control member.
Yeah, exactly.
In Meiko Satomura could be
man.
cool.
Don't tease me with a good time, gentlemen.
That would be awesome. Yeah. We're not overly exposed to kind of Meiko's work outside of WWE, but even the stuff we've seen in WWE, we've been a big fan, right? From what was it, the second Mae Young Classic, where she debuted, and then her stuff in NXT UK and NXT US.
Some of the stuff she's in the Indies as well.
There's a a couple of wrestlers, and we were kind of talking about this on Up Next this week, where they force you to have their match. I would say in New Japan, you have a match with Ishii, you work an Ishii match. In WWE, you have a match with Gunther, you work a Gunther match. You aren't seeing Gunther work a sports entertainment match. Ilya Dragunov, I'd put in that category as well.
Tim
and
Thatcher.
Satomura. Yes. Like you can't just have that regular standard, as NXT rolls on with a rear chin lock with these people. You work their style of match. And that's why I was so looking forward to this one, because as I mentioned earlier, Kairi is the best for me when she's that underdog being bullied and trying to get that win. And Satomura, even though she's not like your nasty bully, like say a Shayna Baszler or whatever, but she wants to bring you up to her level, and she's going to beat it out of you as well. And so even before the bell rang, I was like, oh, I'm excited for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Was very excited to see this on the list. So you also, you gave us links for anyone who's interested in Stardom. Obviously, check out Stardom World, but some of them aren't on there for some reason. So like,
yeah,
you got to shout out by different means and stuff. Shout out the internet.
I mean, we are talking about a pirate princess, so get creative, raise the colors, as it were, and go down to Davy Jones' locker, just poke around, see what you find out. But I believe it depended on who their broadcasting partner was at the time, and I think that's probably why some of these older matches aren't on there. But I feel like in a modern era where even New Japan World is getting Stardom, like if they have matches with Stardom talent, it's still on New Japan World despite having separate broadcasting agreements. My hope is at some point Bushiroad puts out the money for these archival tapes, because a lot of it is crucial to the history of Stardom as a promotion, even though their history isn't that long.
Wow.
VPNs are your friend as well with some of these.
Yes,
matches.
as a Canadian, some of the links wouldn't work. So then
apologies.
Yeah, but then using the VPN is like, as American, it was working. So I think this is one of them. So yeah, these matches are findable in different.
And also, I don't like, if I can't actually pay to watch this in any sort of way, I feel no shame in getting it by other means.
Exactly.
Yeah. They have a sign of respect before the match starts by both shaking each other's hands. And then they go for a more like classical wrestling start here, locking up. But that doesn't last too long as they get each other in the ropes and start delivering elbows. Kairi goes for the cutlass, her back fist, but Meiko ducks it and delivers this crazy slap across the face, which really rocks Kairi. And Kairi has this great look like, oh shit, is that what I'm getting myself into? Okay. So Kairi offers her hand to go back to the kind of traditional Greco-Roman knuckle lock, and then comes back with a stiff slap of her own. And you can see this just pisses off Satomura, who's like, oh yeah, is that what you've got? So just delivers 2 more slaps to the face and then kicks Kairi down and just has Kairi to the mat. It feels like all that respect now is completely out the window as Satomura is just bullying Kairi with these kicks. There's a PK. She goes to the roundhouse and Kairi ducks it and connects with a spear. And this allows her to get back into the match. Kairi hits this kind of AJ Styles-esque phenomenal forearm off the top rope a lot. But she goes for it here, but is met with a kick to the knee and then a stomp to the chest. And Meiko applies the STF, just wrenching back on Kairi's head and neck here. And Kairi's one of the best at like screaming in pain when in these submissions, I think. Meiko then just delivers more of these strikes. And every time Kairi tries to fire back up, Meiko just kicks her back down. And then finally, Kairi catches Satomura with a schoolboy and a running blockbuster to get back into the match. But Satomura kips back up and goes right back on the attack. They then start brawling through the crowd. And this is at Korakuen Hall, right? Yeah. Where they have that long kind of aisleway dividing like the lower section to the bleachers here, where we've seen a lot of people, especially like during the G1, have fun with this. So there's a suplex on that concrete aisleway from Kairi, and then she starts to do her plank walk along the aisle, turns around, and does this huge run up for the spear, but Satomura catches her and hoists her back on her shoulder and starts carrying her. Kairi manages to slip out. They're fighting by the stairs here, and then they go up top to the concourse, where we've seen, the likes of Kota Ibushi hitting moonsaults off this thing, and Kairi finally hits a phenomenal forearm off the concourse.
Ooh.
So now
this was huge.
This looked great.
This is jumping off the concourse thing and pretty much landing on her feet, knees, because she's doing a forearm to the standing Meiko. So, oh man,
can't be great for the knees here. But
this was
great.
Wild.
So now she's taking her back to the ring. She connects with the spear in the ring, follows up with the sliding D, goes up top again and hits the phenomenal forearm, but only a 2 count. So now Meiko comes back and delivers this stomp to the lower back. Sorry, Kairi delivers the stomp to the lower back of Meiko and a drop kick to the lower back. So now she's just chopping Satomura down. Meiko starts fighting back with these kicks. Kairi ducks a kick, but Meiko lands the second one with this just awesome looking spinning roundhouse.
Oh, vicious.
Just dropping her. Followed by this deadly looking backdrop driver for a 2 count. But as Kairi kicks out, she grabs the arm and goes right into this cross arm breaker. And Kairi's struggling. She's not letting it all get locked in. Satomura goes up top and delivers the frog splash, but Kairi gets her knees up, and this allows her to lock in the anchor, but Meiko doesn't tap. And then Satomura gets Kairi up for a brainbuster, off the avalanche brainbuster, but Kairi's fighting out. And this moment's kind of scary because it looks like they legit are both about to fall head first on the apron.
Yeah.
So there's this great struggle, and this allows Kairi to hit the double stomp to the chest of a draped Satomura. This move can look so good or so shit, depending how it's done. I hate when you see the person waiting there forever, holding the top ropes to get this stomp. You always go, just let go. Why are you holding on? Whereas here, because you already had that maybe deliberate, maybe accidental slip up where they're both just trying to save themselves by holding onto the ropes, that as Satomura is pulling herself back up, Kairi just comes down with this double stomp. I thought it looked amazing here.
Yeah.
Kairi then delivers the sliding D, goes up top again and delivers the insane elbow, but it gets caught into an armbar.
Oh.
Meiko goes up top and this time hits the frog splash, but only a 2 count. And now Satomura's just looking all mean. She's just delivering these vicious kicks to the chest. And one of them seemed to just clock Kairi on the side of the head. She's just kicking the absolute living shit out of Kairi Hojo right here. But Kairi, it's not going to put her down. She comes back with 3 spinning back fists, runs the rope, and Satomura just flattens her. There's another back fist from Kairi and an insane elbow to the back. Goes for the proper insane elbow to the chest, but Satomura rolls away, picks her up and hits her the Death Valley driver she delivers. And then there's the spin fist from Kairi, a Pele kick from Meiko, followed by 2 roundhouse kicks to the head. Meiko picks Kairi up, delivers the Death Valley driver again, picks her up once more, and for good measure, hits the DVD a 3rd time. And 1, 2, 3, Satomura wins in 22 minutes, 27 seconds, and becomes the new World of Stardom champion.
Wow. Karen, what did you think of this one? Meiko is a killer.
I feel like at this point, we're going to have to do a Meiko Satomura retrospective just because she's so good. This was, again, like I said, this was one of those matches where I didn't want to pick too many matches where Kairi lost, but this match was very integral into what happens with the next year and a half of Stardom for both Kairi and Io, starting with the post-match. Because, she goes up to Kairi, she has the belt, she holds out her hand, and Kairi's like, what, you want me to shake your hand? Oh, all right. And basically, Meiko takes the mic and basically says, where's my notes? Sorry, I scrolled past them by accident. She uses the phrase "mother this yo," which means you're not quite there yet. I mean, like, exactly, very much last boss energy, where it's just like, because again, this is back in 2015, so she's maybe been wrestling for 4.5 years at this point. But to have Satomura be like, not yet, but maybe one day kind of attitude. And Kairi basically sits there as Meiko takes her belt and just strolls out of Korakuen Hall. She just leaves. And Kairi basically takes the mic up and says, this is the most frustrating point in my entire career. This very moment I'm just so frustrated with myself. And then Io comes to the ring and basically said, like, this is during Io's babyface run. And she basically says, together we can beat her. We can't give up. We need to protect Stardom. It's you and me. We need to do this. So it was one of those things where, yes, Kairi lost. Yes, there is another match that is I believe is part of the Kairi collection, and that's why I didn't pick that one. But this one, because again, Kairi is always in defeat. It begins the next chapter of her story, and this is where Kairi, continues on after this point, where it starts becoming, I think this was probably around the time where she hadn't been on the WWE radar yet at this point, but I feel like that was around the time where people were starting to, like, there were little like buzzings of what was going on in Japan at the time, and I think this match with Satomura is probably one of them.
Yeah, this match is fantastic. We watched the Io Satomura match from doing that last podcast, looking at that. And I think Io beats her, if I remember correctly. I had to remember, I'm pretty sure Io got the job done. So, in a way, they both got it done. But I do now want to watch some of the other matches that you kind of mentioned in that collection. Now that I have the Stardom login, shout out WH Park. So I do have to go watch.
I believe she wins the other one.
Okay, all right, I'll have to look. Yeah. But this match was awesome, man. Like, Kairi's just bringing it, that dive on the outside, the whole running at her, where Meiko is like stopping her in her tracks like multiple times in this match. She is the final boss. Like that moniker is great because that's how she feels. Like, even in defeat, afterwards is like, not yet. It's almost like a video game. Like, you've made, like, Bowser's like, like, you didn't.
Your princess is another castle, bro.
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely like love that, like, baby face trying to beat this like killer of a woman, but at the final moment, like, she couldn't get the job done. And it's good storytelling because it makes me want to see like another rematch down the line, but really got into this match. And Kairi was only wrestling for like a few years, and she was already at this point, like, that is very impressive. But like, Meiko has been wrestling for like quite a long time, and it is interesting. Again, she's signed by WWE, but I wish we could get a little bit more out of her before she decides to like give it up, which I hope isn't anytime soon, because the matches she can still deliver at this level. But this was super fun to watch, and would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, this is always like my favorite style of match. It's so simple, like, it's David versus Goliath. Not that Satomura is huge in stature, but just the way she wrestles, it's such a, say, like, final boss energy. And Kairi being sort of the like smaller underdog babyface, it always is such a simple story to tell, and is always effective, and always makes you like want that rematch. I think, as I mentioned earlier, doing a great job with Gunther at the moment. You had that story with Ilya Dragunov, which felt the same, like, didn't quite get the job done in the first one, and you're not quite there yet. We're seeing the same on the main roster with Chad Gable, who is like chasing that, trying to beat him, but he's not quite at his level yet. And it makes you root for the babyface so much more, and any kind of near fall you're biting on. I think some of Kairi's offense here looks so good. Like, as I said, those spinning back fists. I think her spear looks great as well, which sometimes you think of a spear and it's more like your bigger guys move, like the football players, that kind of thing. But I think there's a way she does this where she just leaps off both her feet, so her entire body weight is behind it. I think it looks really good. And then just the spectacle of her leaping off this concourse to keep her down. I thought this was excellent. Do these two rematch down the line, or was this kind of a one and done?
Let me check real quick. I believe. Sorry, my dog is being a bit of a brat right now. she's just grumbling. She's like, "But it's playtime, right?" Hold on, Kairi.
She's a big fan of Meiko Satomura.
Yeah.
She loves the podcast. She's like, "Can I be on the podcast too?"
Best dog ever.
Best dog ever.
I wonder if they rematch.
Because if they didn't rematch, that's a real shame, especially with that post match. And it seems maybe from what you were saying, it
was not in. No, they do not have a singles rematch after that.
Whoa.
So it's just kind of Kairi's story gets transferred to Io.
Io finishes the story for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, they meet in a couple of like mixed tags and stuff. They tag together to challenge Io and Mayu for the Goddesses of Stardom championship at one point. But yeah, no, she doesn't get that win back. So the previous meeting between her and Meiko, which is I believe is in that Kairi collection, it is a World of Stardom championship defense, but it goes to a 30-minute time limit draw.
Oh,
right. Okay.
So I'd recommend that one. And if you have the power of the internet and can look up anything in 2014, Kairi's first match against Satomura was at Fortune Dream 2, which is Kenta Kobashi's like standalone show that he does every so often. And that was their first meeting.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So Karen, what are you giving Satomura versus Kairi Hojo?
It's at least a 4.5, if not a 4.75 for me. I can't get enough of it. I want more of it. And knowing that there wasn't maybe in WWE we could day have that match, but I don't think, unless Triple H is very generous, I don't think he'll let them have the kind of matches they used to.
Yeah.
But also Satomura is the same age as me and just recently celebrated a birthday. The girl's 44 years old. So I don't know if she can still go she still can go, but I don't know if she wants to still go the way she did when she was living in Japan full time.
That being said, if you put this on a pay-per-view and it's against like a Kairi or an Io, I think you'd want to. She's shown in NXT, she can still go 100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With WWE,
I'd like to see her and Asuka go, honestly.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. With WWE doing shows like now all over the world, like they did Puerto Rico, they're doing Australia, they're doing France and Berlin. Like I imagine we're getting a pay-per-view in Japan in the next year or so, and you would imagine, you would,
or whatever it is,
stack it, like put all these talents on it, and you'd have the place like getting hyped for some of these matches. But yeah, loved watching this match. I'd probably go a 4.75.
I went the same 4.75. Like very close to being a 5 for me. I kind of feel like whatever part 2 should have been would be that 5-star match. It definitely feels like just like the beginning of the story that doesn't quite get completed.
But still very good.
I absolutely love this one.
Yeah.
And then we move forward to the World of Stardom Championship. Io Shirai defending against Kairi Hojo at Stardom 5th anniversary show at Korakuen Hall on the 17th of January, 2016.
So also not on Stardom World, which is what I've learned now, searching this on the internet, is a highly sought after match here. The people have been scouring the internet for Io versus Kairi in a few different encounters, and Karen was able to find this one. But we've definitely talked about these two on the Io show. But what's the kind of story going up to this one? Because this is only 6 months after that last match we were talking about.
I believe so, yes. At this point, Io has become the World of Stardom champion. So Io was the one to defeat the big bad. And I believe it's either right around the time she turns heel and starts Queen's Quest or just before it. So it's one of those where they're very much in the whole cycle of fighting forever, even though sometimes they're both faces. I believe during her time in Stardom, Kairi didn't really ever go full heel. So it was one of those, like, she was the perpetual babyface while Io kind of waffled across the whole entire spectrum. But both of which were insanely popular and are probably still two of the more notable names that are consistently linked with one another in their careers. So yeah, it was hard to pick a match for them because we discussed one last time, and there was another one of their matches in that Kairi collection as well. So I really wanted to pick something that really stood out. And the fact that as I joked earlier, I went onto Reddit for you guys for this one. It was, as much as I loathe going onto the Reddits, this was worth the effort that went into finding it, because this match is so good. My gut tells me that this may be our best match ever, and we haven't even gone to the post WWE section yet.
I'm trying to remember which one, because this is the third one we've seen now, I think.
Yes,
because we watched a different one during the pandemic when we were just
we watched one that we found, maybe WH linked us somehow, and we watched it during the pandemic, and then we were like, wow, that was amazing. And then we did a show with you, Karen, and you had a different one that we were like, wow, this is like watching a whole new match, which was amazing. And then here you've now linked us with this one, which I'm like, wait, is this like the first time or the last time they even I've not seen this one. So doing like some digging, and unfortunately going on Reddit too, a lot of people were like, oh, this one was, people were like this one, and like looking this match up in Google and stuff and different websites, and people like there's a lot of more articles and things about this one than the two that we've watched before, which then I was like, okay, it's hyping this one up to be even better, and did not disappoint.
So they shake hands, but as soon as the bell rings, they charge at each other with these forearms. They're slapping each other. Io fires up with this flurry of slaps, getting the advantage, but Kairi just bounces back with a spear and goes for her sliding D, but Io like ducks this and kips up out of the way. The back fist is ducked. The shote from Io is blocked. Like, this was all like in the first 20 seconds of this match. They're just like throwing everything at each other. There's then an awesome double stomp to the chest from Kairi, and she's delivering these two-handed chops to the chest. And then Io does her beautiful kind of cartwheel handspring out of the way, followed by another kip up. She does this so smoothly, and then hits the springboard Asai moonsault to the floor. Kairi goes for the spear on the outside, but Io gets out the way, and Kairi goes shoulder first into the ring post. And this allows Io to just body slam Kairi on the apron, which, Karen, is the most difficult part of the ring.
Difficult.
Very difficult.
I always feel like the post is probably also rather everyone talks about the apron, and I'm like, I think the posts are solid, if not a little bit thicker, but that's just me.
Metal,
there's then a moonsault to the back from Io, and now Io has Kairi in this nasty looking camel clutch, just bending her right back. And Kairi just looks in so much pain here. I think these submissions from the women look better than the men's, just because they're, smaller and a bit more flexible. So you have all this torque on these submissions.
Yeah,
where
bending them backwards, their arms bending, their legs bending backwards.
Io blocks, Kairi blocks the missile dropkick and then is able to lock in this deep Boston Crab, which again looked awesome, just bending her right back. Leans right back with it, but Io manages to roll this through for a pin attempt, which got this gasp from the audience there. There's then a missile dropkick from Kairi for a 2 count, and Io dives off the top rope with this splash to the floor, and now she's taking Kairi through the crowd. They're at Korakuen Hall, so they're back at that kind of concourse area. They're both fighting on top, and Kairi comes off the top again with the phenomenal forearm and then delivers the spear in the aisle this time. Unlike the Meiko match where she didn't connect, she gets it this time round. And then she's back in the ring, and Kairi's just relentless with her attack on Io here. She hits the spear again, a running neck breaker, and a deep single-legged Boston Crab, which she transitions into the anchor. And she's bending right back, and you get this great shot here where it's Io screaming in pain and Kairi's face upside down screaming as well as she's locking this in. But Io just makes it to the ropes. Kairi then slams Io and goes up for a moonsault of her own, but you can tell that she's trying to one up Io by doing the moonsault, but she doesn't do it as much because she gets a little wobbly, and Io capitalizes on that and runs after her and hits a Rana off the top, followed by this drop kick to she does this running drop kick as Kairi sat, and she's coming towards her face, but manages to like drop kick the top and back of her head. Looks so good. And then applies a crossface, which Kairi gets out of, but she gets into the ropes, allowing Io to hit the 619, which I noticed on commentary they did call the 619 here, followed by a springboard drop kick. Kairi is then set up for the angel wings, the
fairy tale
ending. Yeah. But Kairi fights out of this and charges at Io again with the sliding D. And now they're just duking it out. They're both slapping each other and both go down. They stagger to their feet, and Kairi hits kind of a half spear, half pounce almost into the corner. But Io comes right back with a kick to the face and then delivers 4 locomotion German suplexes, ending crazy. With the perfect bridge.
Okay, so she does like one deadlift and then hits it into the bridge, rolls through, hits another one, then a third one, and a fourth one in a row. Like deadlifting, back reversing into another one, and 4 times in a row is very impressive here. What a spot in this match, and somehow Kairi still manages to kick out.
Still kicks out. Io then hits the top rope elbow drop of her own.
Oh, insult to injury there.
Yeah, but Kairi kicks out. Io then hits the Angel's Wings and goes to the top. But Kairi is grabbing the ankle as Io's climbing up the top. Io's just kicking away at her to the face, goes up top, but Kairi runs right back up and power bombs her off. And now Kairi's delivering these dirty looking forearms to the face, hits the sliding D, hits the Alabama Slam or the Tokyo Slam.
Tokyo Slam, as they called it. Yeah.
Goes up top, but this time Io moves out the way. They're both fighting on the top turnbuckle. Kairi knocks Io down, lands the insane elbow. 1, 2, but Shirai kicks out. Kairi goes up top again for the elbow, but Io gets the shoulder up and it's damaged Kairi's arm. So Io then grabs that injured arm of Kairi and hoists her up into a tombstone, drops her, and then delivers a bridging straight jacket German for a 2, and then a double underhook German suplex, followed by the moonsault. And Io Shirai wins in 29 minutes, 31 seconds.
Whew, what a match. These two were just absolutely killing each other here. And there was some great false finishes with them hitting each other's finishers and kicking out of each other's finishers and hitting their own finishers. There was such like back and forth of great storytelling between these two who have incredible chemistry as well. But the finish was like, what are those like? It's not even like a German. It's like a double chicken wing trapped suplex thing. It is just nasty. And I love this as like almost like a super finisher towards the end. But this match was so litty. I loved this so much. What a great find for Karen to show us today, because these two are like our favorites. And now I've got to see like the best and all the times they've definitely matched up, but did not disappoint. Because like on top of that, like they both have their finishers off the top rope, like the elbow versus the moonsault. We got the back fist versus the shote. So like at different parts in the match, they're doing each other's moves and similar like the moves that match. We got the cross face versus the anchor. We've got the forearm versus that drop kick. Like they're
they know each other so well, so they're scouting each move.
Yeah. So it was just really cool to see that kind of mesh well together. And it was pretty much like a perfect match where they were just selling each other's things and got the crowd even, like you said, gasping at some of the fake finishes. So really got into this and really loved it. So what do you think, Karen?
One of the things about this match that they did touch on commentary and you mentioned was that Kairi went up to do a moonsault. In the build up to this, Io just to stir the pot was using Kairi's diving elbow drop. So Kairi was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the moonsault. And you can tell that she doesn't do the moonsault. And everyone's like, it's like some people kind of like, oh, she's gonna botch the moonsault. No, she's supposed to be like not being able to do it. That's the whole point of her doing it. But yeah, this match, I was like, my jaw was just hanging open the entire time, and I'm like, this. It's like I've said before, this is a crime that this is not on Stardom World. This match should have been included in that Kairi collection because it's of their meetings together. This one was my favorite. And to bookend off of the Meiko match, when Meiko beat Kairi, and then in November Mayu would challenge her, but Mayu would lose, and then Io would be the one to defeat her at the year-end climax for the belt. And Kairi was the first defense. So, and then this goes on to Io's monster run with the red belt before she would ultimately leave the company in 2017.
You almost wish in a way that the moonsault spot led to the finish of the match, if that's kind of the story going into it, because then you have that thing where it's like Kairi, like, you know, you've seen in I'm thinking of that like FTR Young Bucks match where Cash goes for the 450, which costs them because they never leave their feet, and that sort of thing where you go, next time round I'm not going to do that, and I've got a way to win this. But yeah, this match kind of follows the same formula as the Satomura one, but kind of takes it up to that next level. The pace is a lot quicker. I love matches that just start with them going at it. Like I always loved Rock and Austin meeting because as soon as it starts, they're just throwing fists at each other. And this started like that. Like they have the sign of respect, but as soon as that bell rang, they're charging at each other with forearms. They're not going for a lockup or anything. And it brings this intensity right to the start of the match that doesn't let go at all throughout. Like this is essentially a half-hour match, and it just breezed by for me.
Yeah, it has. They had so many back and forth moves, and the style that they wrestle at for, you know, two pretty small women, you would say, just like, man, they're incredible. And I'm so happy I finally got to watch this because I felt like this was almost like like I said, buried treasure, a holy grail that I couldn't find and because it's not even on Stardom. They didn't even put it in that collection that popped up when I went to Stardom today. So it's like you had to find this somewhere else. And I'm so glad that you were able to find this one for us, because this one was very, very fun. And I would definitely recommend and watch back again because they definitely have something, these two. The chemistry is real. And I'm happy they're together in Damage Control as we're recording this. They're still together. So
as fun as it is seeing like the three of them as a unit, we all just can't wait for them to break up and fight each other, right?
Matches.
I agree. I like that. I think that was the one thing that's been missing from their time in WWE together, is like they've teased the singles match between the two of them. They've teased it, but they've never they've never had the ability to do that in a WWE ring. I don't know if, as long as Damage Control is a thing, I don't know if they will. But like you said earlier, I personally prefer Kairi when she's a babyface, because WWE always seems to have a consistent shortage of baby faces. That as much as I'm enjoying the Kabuki Warriors reunion and all my girls in the best unit ever, I kind of want babyface Kairi back. I miss her.
It's weird, isn't it? They've had so many like just pure natural baby faces in WWE that they turn heel. I'm thinking of Sami Zayn, Johnny Gargano, Daniel Bryan, Kairi and Io. But the problem is they're then, because they're really fucking good, they're good at being a heel as well. But the whole time you're watching going, you're good at this, but like, man, Sammy has obviously just had that run. So it's like, finally we're getting to see that. But we definitely want it with Kairi and Io.
I feel like the way Io has been pushed, we were at SummerSlam and having her come out and win the title while we were there, we were like, oh my God, so happy to be there for that moment. But it also feels weird that like she's the heel because everyone's cheering her. In Puerto Rico, she felt like the hometown hero. And I think the same could happen if you were to have just like all of them turn babyface by staying together for a little while, would equally be as effective.
I think there's the thing as well, because I'd say the same is happening with Rhea, where Rhea is a heel but is treated like a babyface, and especially when you're putting against kind of that four horsewomen crop, like the old guard, people want fresh, and it's not like back like pre AEW where we were just craving for something new, but it's like, we like Io as champion, so we want to cheer her. We like Rhea as champion, we want to cheer her, and you've definitely got to switch the roles around eventually, I think.
But I love this match so much. I even loved, we didn't touch on the video package beforehand, where they're clear. I couldn't understand them obviously, but I could tell that they were like, this, you know, this is someone I had some history with here. And then like it cuts to them, they're acting all like happy, and then it gets like a little serious towards the end of the video. But their entrances, like we have the Io Shirai mask on our set here, but Kairi had a pirate mask for her entrance here, which was like a similar style, one of those masks, but then had like a pirate hat like attached to it with the feather and stuff. Very, very nice.
We need to see if we can get hold of this.
Yeah, shout out Pure Fandom. I wonder if you can help us out. But this is really cool, and this was definitely the favorite match I watched today. I'd go a whole 5 stars. I'd go Captain Jack Sparrow and Captain Hook on this one, with a little bit of Long John Silver on this one for my pirate rankings, because this was great.
With a glass of Sailor Jerry's.
Sailor Jerry's. Yeah, he's not quite a pirate, but I'll go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I went 5 as well. For me, like this and the Satomura match are very close together, but this just kind of like tips it. I think. Absolutely love this. I do need to try and just go back and find every iteration of this match, because there's always a long gap between watching one of them. So I wouldn't be able to say which Io versus Kairi match I like the most, but every time I watch one of their matches, they're fantastic. So 5 stars.
It's a 5+ for me. This is probably going to be my favorite match of the entire show.
Yes, I think so too. Spoilers for the rest of the show, but this was fantastic. Great stuff. And I'm so happy watching this. I'm like, yeah. And these two are now going to be like featured heavily in the next year of WWE, which I'm like, that'll definitely make me watch WWE a lot more. So can't wait.
Cage Match has this at a 9.44, so very high rating from Cage Match.
9.44 on Cage Match. Oh wow, so that's pretty high then, considering we look at this website quite often for like ratings and stuff. So damn.
We go forward. So that's the end of our kind of pre-WWE Kairi Hojo.
Yeah, Kairi Hojo, that chapter is closed, right? She goes to WWE, changes the name.
Becomes Kairi Sane.
And then when she comes back, she's Madonna, she's Seal, she's McLovin.
Kairi.
She's Kairi.
In capital letters.
That's right.
Yeah.
We kind of filled in. We kind of know what happens when she eventually does go to WWE. You mentioned Mae Young Classic, then eventually becomes NXT champion, then comes into main roster. There's the Kabuki Warriors with Asuka, and then you're wearing the shirt right now. And then she had some injuries, and then it was later found out that she kind of has left WWE and kind of going back to Japan, and then we see her wrestling again. So it was kind of like, hey, she's the injury reports were kind of like, she's fine and she's back. And I think a lot of fans were really excited about that. And I think she capitalized at the perfect time to, at the time now, even more elevate Stardom with her coming back to the company. And some of the matches we're going to talk about now, like I mentioned, some of the crowds are bigger, the production's a lot more behind it. It makes it look like a completely whole like new product, which is nice and refreshing. But yeah, so what's the story with the gap here with her coming back? Any insight there, Karen?
So the return of Kairi as just Kairi, no last name, was she took her experience in WWE and she took her experience in Stardom and took the best parts of both of those chapters of her life to create the current iteration of her as Kairi returning to Stardom. Her goal in this return was it wasn't collecting a paycheck. It wasn't trying to relive her glory days of Stardom. It was to give back to the company that got her to where she is in her career. And what I love about her time in Stardom is that whenever she was brought in as a main attraction. She may not have been like wrestling at the top of the card, but her matches were often placed higher on the cards than actual title matches on many of the pay-per-views that she did. And she did a lot to elevate talent that was newer and a lot of talent that started wrestling after she left. And Kamitani is one of them. So the first match that we're going to talk about is one of the first, this was actually one of the later matches that she had, which was actually about a year ago this past weekend at the first Stardom Gold Rush in Osaka. And I was there and it was fantastic.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yes, so this is from the 19th of November 2022 at the Ideon Arena in Osaka, Stardom Gold Rush 2022. And it's Saya Kamitani, the Wonder of Stardom champion, taking on Kairi. Can you remember what was Kairi's return? Was it a tag, her first match? I'm trying to...
Oh gosh, it was. Give me 1 second.
Sorry, putting you on the spot.
No,
there.
no, it's fine. Full disclosure, I had a whole bunch of notes, but when I went to copy and paste and send you guys the list, I deleted them all. So that's a me problem.
Yeah, we've done that too.
I was like, oh, I have all these great notes. All right, so her first match back in March of 2022 was at Stardom World Climax. The first night, it was a pair of pay-per-views back to back on the same weekend. The first match back was a tag where she tagged with Mayu against Tam Nakano and Unagi Sayaka. The following night was her first singles match back in Stardom with Starlight Kid.
That's right. Okay,
Right. Nice,
awesome.
Yeah.
So this is towards the end of the year. This is November, as you said. You were at this match personally.
I was in the venue. I got to go down to the floor. I got to poke around a little bit. It was a good time. My bias might be showing on this pick and the next pick purely because, actually all three of them, purely because I was there for most of it.
Excellent.
So as you mentioned, we've kind of got this hybrid Kairi now. She's not kind of the cutesy pirate princess we saw pre-WWE. She's not her full heel WWE persona, but like a hybrid of the two. So a little darker pirate princess.
Yeah, goth bae, pirates, kabuki, spooky kabuki.
Yeah.
It's notice me senpai Kairi. That's the vibe we're going with.
Wow, yeah, great.
So there's a big stare down to start this match, and it's kind of a slow start as they're feeling each other out. Kamitani actually goes out the ring because she gets kind of backed into the ropes, and Kairi does like a just bring it, like come on, come back in. So they then have a real like stiff lockup here as they're just muscling each other to try and get the advantage, rolling across the mat. They trade wrist locks with some really nice counters out of this, like flip-in, cartwheels, as they're both trading these wrist locks. Just a nice kind of feeling out process at the start of this match, when Kairi comes flying in with the sliding D, but it gets ducked by Kamitani. So Kamitani offers her hand for another wrist lock. Kairi teases that she's going to go to it, but just stomps on the foot, being all mean. As I said, this isn't the Kairi of old. She's taken a bit of that US meanness with her. Kamitani then does a cartwheel and handspring, very EO-esque here, and then delivers a drop kick, giving her the advantage. But Kairi comes right back with a dropkick of her own, sending Kamitani to the outside, and then starts to walk her through the arena. And this, just as you mentioned, the production, this looks great. This is a huge arena, and just the lighting and like the HD cameras and everything just looks real good here. Kairi goes to Irish whip Kamitani into the ring post, but Kamitani like stops herself short by putting her foot up, but then turns right into a spear, sending her into the ring post. I was sure that this was going to be the same spot we saw earlier where she moves and Kairi goes shoulder first, but no, she just speared her into this metal post, which looked great. And then Kairi gets a steel chair out. She throws it to Kamitani and drop kicks her. This is definitely her. Like, I've been in WWE. I've learned a few tricks.
TLC matches.
Yeah, I've been on my excursion. I know what to do with these. Sets 3 chairs up on Kamitani, and then stands on the apron and does this like evil giggle before delivering the elbow drop on top of these chairs, and then gets into... Sorry, was this Bornacano here? No, who was on commentary? There was one of the Joshi wrestlers, like one of the older Joshi wrestlers. She just gets in the face and is like, look at me. Kairi then is bullying Kamitani with these chops. Kamitani comes back with a drop kick, which sends Kairi to the floor, and does this huge springboard high cross, which takes down Kairi and what do we call young lions in Joshi? Oh, lost you, Karen. I think you're muted.
Sorry, my dog was grumbling, so I muted the mic there for a second. I feel like they just call them rookies. Like I have never heard like a specific name for them. Stardom usually just calls them rookies.
Well,
and I believe Natsuko Tora, who's the leader of Oedo Tai currently, at the time, I believe she was on commentary.
Okay, perfect. So taking all them out, Kairi then blocks a suplex onto the chairs and does her big run up, but gets hit with this devastating arm drag on top of the chairs. Like arm drags, you normally think of just a bit of a transitional sequence move, but here just looks so deadly on top of these chairs. Both are back in the ring. They're running the ropes, and kind of as Kamitani runs to like Kairi's side, delivers the knee. Kairi then comes to her side with the forearm and the hip attack, and then Kairi signals that it's over. So she's going up the top, but Kamitani goes up after her. Kairi then hits a DDT on the apron, which sends them both to the floor again. And now they're fighting up their way to the ramp. Kairi goes to the Alabama Slam, but Kamitani slips out and delivers a drop kick, which sends Kairi rolling down the ramp. And the referee starts to make his count. He gets to 19, and Kairi sprints, makes it to the ring, and now they're both on their knees. They're just trading blows. Kairi with these stiff forearms. She's doing like the left-right with the elbows to the face. And then Kairi is sent into the ropes, but springs off into this head scissors takedown, which looks so smooth. She then walks the plank, hits the sliding D in the corner, signals for the flying elbow, but Kamitani just chases after her and hits a Rana off the top, which Kairi kicks out of. She then delivers the spear, and she beckons Kamitani to get to her feet. She charges at her with a big boot, and this is one of these. I love the like kick out where it's just you just roll your shoulder off. You've got no energy, and it's just like, oh.
Kairi does it a lot. I noticed.
Kairi does it, and Kamitani does it here too. Looks great. Applies the deep Boston Crab, which she transitions into the one-legged Boston Crab with that beautiful back bend into the anchor. And Kamitani gets the ropes, but Kairi won't break the hold. She's being a little mean here, so the ref has to count. And then Kairi goes up top for her forearm, but gets met with a drop kick to the knee. Kairi goes for the back fist, which is ducked, but Kairi ducks the roundhouse, and then Kamitani just clocks her with this big boot. Kairi comes back with the spinning back fist and hits this, like, Kamitani hits this, like, hook leg driver
fisherman
thing.
Buster type
yeah,
thing. Yeah,
this, I was sure this was going to be the finish here, but it's only a 2. Kamitani goes up to the top and just hits this picture perfect 450 splash, and Kairi kicks out. Kairi goes for a power bomb into a pin, but it's only a 2, and now both are like fighting up top, and Kairi hits a double stomp followed by a crazy cradle suplex.
It's like a regal plex or something crazy.
And then the insane elbow, but Kamitani just gets the shoulder up and applies the arm breaker, which Kairi turns into a pin attempt, and the bell rings.
Oh.
It's a 30-minute time limit draw.
Oh, you're left hanging there.
And at this point, you believe like either one could tap or the other is getting pinned, but it's a draw.
Yeah, I was very impressed by Kamitani because there was so many great moves. That 450 was a thing of beauty, but these two were going at it that I was genuinely bummed that's how the match finished. So they got me because it's like, hey, you're going to be wanting more from this thing. And I guess neither could afford the L at this point, but really was impressed by some of the back and forth actions. And considering Kairi is now this like heel pirate kind of thing, like it was a whole new side of her that we haven't seen before. So I did actually check out some of her return matches, but I didn't watch this one. So was happy that I could see some more of it. And again, was kind of impressed with Seiya here because I'm not super familiar with her, but would definitely check out more of her stuff. But I definitely got into this match, and the fact that I was bummed that it ended that way was like, I really wanted the finish there. And couldn't Kairi just get a win coming back into Stardom here, you know?
There's a reason for it, though.
Okay.
So, Kairi is one of the names that is synonymous with the white belt. Up until Momo Watanabe, taking the belt off of her when she was leaving for WWE, Momo went on a monster run, shattering Kairi's record. at this time, Saya was on the road to shattering Momo's record. She ended up, this is the only draw out of the 15 successful defenses that Saya Kamitani had with the belt.
Wow.
So it was one of those things where Saya was determined to defeat all the old white belt champions. And with Kairi, it's you don't want her to lose. I mean, it would have been nice for her to put Saya over, but the next night she's supposed to main event historic crossover for New Japan. So she wasn't, you couldn't really exactly have Kairi lose on the eve of her potentially winning a tournament in the rival promotion. But Kairi ended up spraining her ankle during this match, taking the train back to Tokyo that night and wrestling Mayu Iwatani in the next match that we're talking about.
Wait, sorry. She had to take, it was that later that night?
No, it was, the match was, the show was on a Saturday night, but they had to get back to Tokyo that night for historic crossover the next afternoon.
Right. Oh boy. Wow. That's 2 days.
So there was really no rest for the Wicked. So she wrestled that match and then went, 20 something minutes in the next one.
Wow.
I really liked contrasting this match with the Satomura match we watched earlier, because it now seemed like Kairi has evolved and she's playing the role of Satomura and she's bullying and being like, come up to my level, but also having that stuff that, adding the chairs, which you didn't see her do before. But it is, I've been in America and I've been working that style, and this is what I've picked up over there. And just doing the things like the stomp on the foot early on and just those little things. She was still wrestling as Kairi for most of it, but just I really liked that. And I thought I'm so glad. I've had a bad habit with this show of accidentally seeing time limit draws and then going into a match being like, fuck, I know this is going 30 and it's a draw. And I'm so glad I didn't for this one, because it kind of caught me off guard. And I like a draw every now and then. I think it's different. So yeah,
your dog agrees with Davie on this.
I'm really sorry. It's about dinner time in the Peterson household for her, so she's just like, "Hey mom, it's time."
Let's give our ratings, and then you can go and feed Zelda, isn't it?
It's Zelda.
Yeah. Zelda, yeah.
I'd go a 4, maybe even pushing a bit 4, but because I guess it was a draw. You describing it actually sounds a lot like how Danielson and Omega, where Danielson was new to AEW and Kenny was the champion there, and they didn't want to they couldn't afford having either of them lose, so they went the draw. So it does make a lot of sense. So I'd go maybe a 4.25 on this one, but still really enjoyed it.
I'm the same 4.25.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for 4.25 as well, just because of the lore. And the part of the buildup for this one was that when Kairi, talking about the Satomura match, when Kairi was younger in Stardom, she was a bit of a crybaby. So it was always like, sometimes the white belt is also known as the belt of pain, because a lot of people have to chase it for a very long time. And once you get it, it's hard to keep it. So her whole thing to Saya was the same advice. She's like, she's holding the belt. She's like, this belt is crying because of you. You're too much of a crybaby. You need to grow up if you want your name to be synonymous with this belt. So it's the whole layers and lore and weaving all the history into it that it's like I can't give it anything less than a 4.25.
Meltzer has it at a 4-star, cage match at 8.15.
Nice.
Now, let's get that dog fed.
I'm so sorry. I'll be right back.
No, don't be.
Shout out Zelda.
Shout out Zelda. Well, as you said, after that match, the very next night, Kairi's competing again at the New Japan Stardom Historic Crossover 2022 at the Ariake Arena on the 20th of November 2022.
So you were at this show too?
I was very much at the show, living my best life.
That's 2 shows in 2 days. That's going to be a lot of wrestling.
Much like the Stardom crew taking the bus and then the last Shinkansen's back to Tokyo, I took the night bus. Absolutely miserable experience. I don't think I'll ever do it again. But I got there and got to go.
So this is the first match on the list where we've kind of got some English commentary here. So I watched the English commentary version. I don't know.
Yeah, I did too, actually, just because I saw that it was available.
Chris Charlton gives a little bit of history about the 3 daughters, but maybe Karen, you could elaborate a bit more on this.
The big story of the finals, especially it being Mayu and Io, or not Io, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Mayu and Kairi, was that the big chip on Mayu's shoulder was that Kairi and Io left Stardom. And she was the one who put Stardom on her back, was the icon of Stardom, and has carried the company since their departures in 2017 and 2018, respectively. So, and everybody knows that Kairi went to WWE and Kairi had left WWE, and she had, they've wrestled together in Stardom since her return. But Mayu's thing was, you left, and now you're coming back. Now that Stardom's even bigger and better, now that we're working with New Japan, you came back for this. So it was one of those things where it's of course, behind the scenes, they're all friends still, and they all want the best for one another. But it tells a good story that Mayu, especially coming up later early next year, I believe in May, the film about a biopic about Mayu's life is being released in Japan.
Whoa.
And Kairi got to be part of that filming because Kairi was an integral part of early Stardom. So it's one of those things where it's just like, it's a fair bit of Stardom nostalgia to have the two of them meet. And I did find it interesting that Kairi, as a former WWE wrestler, was put in the international bracket, even though Mayu has also worked shows internationally, but especially when Stardom was working a lot with Ring of Honor. But
they're making a movie about it? That's crazy. I'm just looking at this
I have the book. It's fascinating. Mayu was very much a kind of a shut-in. So when she was growing up, so it's the story, I believe the film's called Runaway Wrestler, and talks about how she found purpose in life by becoming a wrestler, but it was very hard for her to break out of her comfort zone and be able to, she comes in like learning to wrestle, and now she's the premier champion of the company. And she's been she's one of the Grand Slam most decorated champions in the Stardom's history as well.
Wow. I mean, I love that we're getting more and more movies and stuff about wrestling. We, a few years back, did the review of My Dad, the Heel Wrestler.
We had
WH on, and we reviewed it. It's somewhere deep in our Patreon. But yeah, I would definitely have to check this one out when it comes.
Send me that, because I want to see what your thoughts on that film were.
That was years ago now. But super into anything related about wrestling. So when this does eventually come out, I'm probably going to have to watch it. So big fan of Mayu.
There's like a Rock Cena vibe to this match, right?
You just needed some Limp Bizkit.
Like, Kairi left for bigger things in America.
Rock, you thought you were
Rock went to Hollywood, and who carried the company while you were away?
Me.
And now we're doing well. You want to come back?
Yeah.
I like
that a lot.
So, real quick start to this match. They're both running the ropes, delivering these arm drags to each other. There's a beautiful drop kick from Iwatani, sending Kairi to the outside. And Mayu is just attacking the arm of Kairi, bending it right back. She's delivering these drop kicks to the ropes. And Chris Charlton on commentary saying there's open contempt towards Kairi from Mayu for her, leaving and coming back. It's worth noting, this is the tournament final for the brand new IWGP Women's Championship.
Oh, that's correct.
And the main event of the show. It closes the show.
Wow. Yeah.
So Mayu is now attacking the right arm of Kairi, delivering these big kicks to it. Kairi comes back with an axe kick to the back and delivers some stiff chops. They're then fighting up the ramp, and there's another stiff kick to the back of Kairi, and the ref starts to count as they're around this stage area, and they make back to the ring, and Kairi delivers her phenomenal forearm for a 2.
There was a spot on the entrance where it's like she's setting up to run, and it was like a little anticlimactic where I don't think she connects with the whatever running move she was running with, but still cool.
Kairi then goes for the cutlass, but it's blocked. Mayu goes for the roundhouse, but Kairi blocks that. But then Mayu catches Kairi with the super kick, but Kairi comes back immediately with that cutlass back fist. And then both run the ropes, both deliver clotheslines, and both collapse to the mat. They start getting back on their feet. They're delivering these stiff forearms to each other. Both look spent at this point. And then Mayu maybe has the better of Kairi here with her forearms, and delivers this beautiful drop kick in the corner, followed by a frog splash for a 2 count. And Kairi looks in pain. Mayu goes up top for the moonsault, but it's missed. And Kairi fires back with a spear of her own in the corner, followed by the anchor, bending her right back. But remember, Mayu's been attacking that right arm, and she loses the grip of the submission. So Iwatani then bails to the floor, but Kairi climbs up high and delivers the high cross from the top rope to the floor. They're fighting back in the ring, and Kairi delivers that cradle suplex, followed by the cutlass, but Mayu doesn't go down, and Mayu has this crazed look in her eye as she's smiling and staggering towards Kairi. There's another cutlass back fist from Kairi, and Mayu is still coming for her. So Kairi goes for the spear, and as Kairi's head is like down to deliver this spear, runs straight into the super kick.
Oh yeah, this was cool.
Looked great. I mean, we see like super kick counters all the time, but how like low Kairi was here and so like horizontal running into it, I thought it looked really good.
It came out of nowhere that you did not expect to see that. Yeah, very fast.
Top of the head. And Mayu then delivers this like cradle tombstone, but she waves goodbye before delivering it. And then the dragon suplex for a 2 count. Mayu's charging, runs into a cutlass, and then the Alabama slam. And Kairi goes for a second rope version of the elbow drop to the back. She rolls Mayu over, goes up to the top rope, goes to the insane elbow and hits it, but Mayu kicks out. Kairi then picks up Mayu and delivers these stiff forearms. She's like picking her up by the hair here, just delivering these forearms and elbows to the face. Kairi runs the ropes, but gets caught in this crucifix bomb out of nowhere for a near fall. And then runs into another super kick, but this time to that injured arm. And then Mayu hits the dragon suplex with a bridge, and Kairi barely kicks out here, just rolling that shoulder.
Yeah, credit to Chris Charlton, who was really selling the first dragon suplex, and then the second one, I was like, all right, well, that's it. And then she kicks out. I'm like, how this move is, you can't even escape it, and somehow Kairi just does the shoulder shrug to get out of it.
Mayu catches her again with another dragon suplex, and this looks like Kairi is beat, but the dragon suplex was hit into the ropes, so the ref isn't able to make the pin. And I like this. This wasn't like Kairi gets her foot on the ropes. It's just she's landed in the ropes. I do this in 2K all the time by accident. It's annoying. Kairi then ducks a super kick and lands a pump kick, followed by the back fist, goes up top and hits an absolutely devastating looking insane elbow, like landing across her throat here, and puts Mayu Iwatani away 1, 2, 3 in 25 minutes, 28 seconds. Ooh. And the post-match, they're just both crying, and I get the sense there was a kind of like, burying of the hatchet or sign respect.
Oh, you know what? Part-timers are not too bad.
In each other's arms. But this was great.
One of the things about this, it was very much as much as I would love Mayu to have like possibly won. Mayu is another one when she's chasing something, it's worth the wait. So it was one of those things where I was fine with Mayu not winning and Kairi actually getting this, because it kind of made more sense, because as a freelancer, Kairi has a little more flexibility where she could work with New Japan and make those commitment dates, where Mayu, because of how heavily Stardom books everything and how busy their schedules are, it's kind of, there's a lot less flexibility. And you eventually see how that kind of comes into play this past year once Mayu becomes the IWGP Women's Champion, and how few defenses she's had since, defeating Mercedes Moné in April. And that she's still champion, and she's only had like maybe 1 or 2 other defenses since then. So. And
then she left again, and then she's in WWE again.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Kairi. After her match with Mercedes, she doesn't have many matches left with Stardom at that point, if any.
This was a great match. I'm such a fan of Mayu Iwatani. Whenever we've done pay-per-view reviews or podcasts, but also during the pandemic, we did scour the internet, and we were all locked inside watching random different wrestling from all over the world, from all different times. And we've definitely stumbled across a few WH Park recommendations, and can say I'm a big fan, and I really got into this match, especially when like this one on Stardom World had Chris Charlton kind of explaining me through their feud, kind of what they're beefing about, to leading up to which I'm like, oh, it's got to be her winning this thing, to no, it's Kairi. And then I'm like, oh yeah, wait, I watched Kairi versus Sasha. I watched all these other things. So I'm like, clearly she did win this one, but really got into it. I think I may have liked it just a little bit more than the last one we just watched, but around the kind of feeling the same thing. Like I do like the new kind of Kairi with a bit of an edge to her, does work for her, as much as, you know, we love her as a babyface. We'll get her back as the pirate princess for sure, but it's fun to also see her, you know, kick people in the head a little bit.
This is in the top 3 of the ones we've watched today. For
Correct.
me, what let it down for me was the crowd and the commentary. I thought Chris Charlton was great at like educating me on the story, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Mayu is wrestling pissed off with Kairi in this, but they were both so subdued, and there was some incredible like near falls and spots where I felt the crowd were kind of sitting on their hands a bit, and the commentary were too. So I felt I was losing my mind, but like it's, you know, we lived through that clap crowd and the empty arena and stuff, and you know how much a hot crowd and like great calls add to it. And I feel I'd have almost just taken the Japanese commentary, just hearing that, even though I don't understand what they're saying, hearing them lose their mind, because for me, that knocked like a quarter star off for me, because it just didn't feel as monumental and explosive and exciting as I think it was watching it.
Sure.
The other difficult thing the other thing to keep in mind is that travel to Japan for international travel for that without a visa only had reopened in October of last year. So literally they announced it and I was booking my plane ticket. I was basically asking for something. Do I go to Historic Crossover or do I go to Wrestle Kingdom? And they're like, you wrote a column for New Japan about Historic Crossover. Go to Historic Crossover. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it's at that time, and I had gone to several shows. I went to a Noah show. I went to a Sendai Girls show. I went to a Stardom show in Korakuen Hall. At that time, they were still very much in the clap crowd mentality. Like they didn't know if it was okay to get really fired up about something. And plus, the match just prior to this was Ospreay versus Shota Umino in Umino's return match from Excursion. And it's also it was also kind of that weird mixture of there are New Japan fans and there are Stardom fans, but not necessarily all of them like cross over with one another, even though it's a historic crossover. It's very much a Venn diagram that there are a lot of New Japan fans that don't necessarily watch Stardom and vice versa. So I think for the New Japan fans that may not have interest in Joshi or women's wrestling, they're kind of like, why are the women closing the show? Why are we watching? Why is New Japan bothering with a women's championship? Why is the international market so important? So they understood the importance of what was happening. They understand the historical significance of a 50-plus year company like New Japan establishing a women's title. But at the same time, there are still people that have the traditional, if you will, mentality about it, where it's very much separate but equal, separation of church and state. We don't want the crossover. We're here for the spectacle, but we don't necessarily know the history. And if the fans and the audience aren't dialed into Stardom, they don't understand the gravity of the importance of a Mayu versus Kairi singles match post WWE Excursion for her.
I kind of got that. And you saying that, it reminds me of when we're talking about, they should do a like NXT title match on WrestleMania. And then you go, but most of the crowd there aren't going to, as much as we'd have lost our mind back in the day of Gargano v Ciampa at a Mania, you go, it will be a disservice because this crowd as a whole isn't educated for it. That definitely came across in this match for me.
They just weren't as into it as possibly the matches earlier on the show that were like New Japan based ones. So can definitely it's weird, like you forget about that we didn't have crowds like that could make noise for quite a long while, and watching these back, you're like, oh, are they just sitting on their hands and clapping, or not? They're not really getting too rowdy. But the match itself, still really enjoyed these two going back at it, and I love the kind of story that they portrayed of like, Kairi, you left us and now you come crawling back, but it's Kairi who's like, yeah, and I'm a bigger star, and I'm, you know, I'm
Still good.
And I'm
I'm
getting
better
a
than
bigger
you.
paycheck for it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yo, don't hate the player, hate the game. And I definitely enjoy that. Like that's a classic wrestling storyline that we've seen used properly. And I thought they did a good job of that too.
I went 4.5 on this one.
Yeah, I think I'd go the same too. It didn't quite get into like another level. They went about like 20 odd minutes or so.
25.
But yeah, so like I definitely think these two. I've seen these two in other matches where they definitely even bring it even more. But still, really enjoyed it. Those dragon suplexes that Mayu does is a thing of beauty. I don't know how anyone would kick out of it. What about you, Karen?
It's one of those things, like, I guess, like I said earlier, this is my bias and my sentimental favorite because I was there to watch it in person.
Yeah.
But it was also one of those things where I picked it largely because New Japan had made such a big deal about not only historic crossover, but establishing a women's championship, and it being the inaugural champion final between two names that are like, you can't take them out of Stardom. They are synonymous with Stardom. They were 2/3 of the Black Lotus Triad and Lucha Underground together.
Right.
So it's one of those things like it was the perfect final for this tournament, even though the names that were included in the tournament were also very good ones, which will lead us into our third match.
So what's your rating? Or do you refuse out of bias? Sentimental bias?
I can't. I mean, I would give it probably a 4.45 or 4.5. Like, I can't rate it less than the Kamitani match, knowing that she wrestled this match for 25 minutes on a sprained ankle.
Wow.
Damn.
Jeez.
Keep that in mind.
Meltzer gave this 4.5 as well.
Wow.
Cage Match has it at 9.04.
Wow.
So very highly rated.
Yeah, very good.
And that takes us to our final match of the show, a special singles match. Kairi versus Utami Hayashishita at Stardom Dream Queendom 2022 at Ryogoku Kokugikan Sumo Hall.
You almost got it. Kokugikan.
I'll stop. Sumo Hall on the 29th of December 2022. Karen, what's the kind of story going into this match?
So Kairi is the inaugural IWGP Women's Champion. She is backstage cutting her promo, thanking the world for, you know, still believing in her after all this time. And who strolls up but Utami Hayashishita, who mysteriously doesn't have a match, pardon me, for Stardom's end of the year show the following month at Dream Queendom 2. Give me 1 second.
It's okay.
Classic Zelda.
I don't know why she's barking at the door. Like she's fed, she should be fine, but maybe it's the food smells. It's Thanksgiving. I'm sorry. But yeah, it was one of those things where they were putting together the Dream, all of the matches for Dream Queendom were coming up, and Utami, former World of Stardom champion, one who had the series of bangers against Shirai in their feud over the red belt and towards Shirai winning the 5-star Grand Prix, mysteriously didn't have a match. So she comes to the backstage area. She brings a rose, like she does, because that's her thing. She serves roses to her potential
victims.
People she wants to battle with. And the thing about Utami is that she was still a rookie when Kairi left. So they had never wrestled before. So this would be not only a first time meeting between the two of them, but it was another name in who Utami was the one who succeeded Mayu as the red belt champion, as the World of Stardom champion in Kairi's absence. So it was very much we're going to give you a special singles match. This was a non-title match, even though Kairi had just won the IWGP Women's Championship. Utami did participate in the tournament. She beat Himeka from Donna Del Mundo in the first round, only to lose to Mayu in the second round. But someone who is a decorated champion like Utami has very little left to do in Stardom other than just throw out bangers of matches and, maybe start trying to pursue getting the red belt back one day. So this was the running joke in their press conference was because they both have very extra, very over the top entrances, dramatic music, lots of pageantry, fantastic costumes. It was the loser has to give up all of that and go back to their rookie square one like rookie days costume. No fancy music, no gowns, no pomp and circumstance. And that was the only stipulation was that, because Kairi would be shortly slated or slotted into having her match for Wrestle Kingdom set up after this match.
So that explains the result then. So I assume both kept their pageantry after this.
Correct. And it was also the week before Wrestle Kingdom, so Kairi wasn't exactly going to lose the belt before she has to defend it at Wrestle Kingdom, on the Wrestle Kingdom, the first Stardom quote women or women's match on the main card.
Kairi's gear looks amazing here. Like I'm always a fan of her gear, but this outfit in particular, it was more back to the kind of pirate princess roots, but all in blue. I thought it looked really cool. And you said Utami offers a rose to her opponents, but here it's Kairi offering like this dark blue rose to Utami.
I think she just spray painted it. Honestly.
Who drops it on the floor and kicks it out the ring. So we're kind of establishing, I guess, Kairi playing more of the babyface role here. You can kind of even tell from her gear, and Utami more the heel bully, I guess. So there's a kind of feeling out process to start with. They're grappling, and then Kairi goes for the cutlass, but it's blocked, and Utami goes to this chokehold, which Kairi counters into a sleeper of her own, and she's backed into the corner. There's a series of body slams from Hayashishita, and then she misses an elbow in the corner, allowing Kairi to follow up with this running drop kick. And now Kairi's on top of the attack. She drop kicks Utami out of the ring, and then leaps off the apron with a knee strike, very kind of Bryan Danielson-esque here, and then charges at Utami, but one of the rookies just gets in the way to stop it. No, don't do that. So, so that was kind of not nice. Kairi then hits the phenomenal forearm in the ring, and Utami fires back up with this big clothesline. She drop kicks into the ropes, followed by a clothesline into a sliding lariat. This was a really nice combo here from Utami. And then she grabs Kairi into a sleeper, but is just spinning around while this is applied.
Yeah, this was pretty impressive, where she's locked in a sleeper and then like spinning. Like, more people could do this. It's like the big swing, but you have them in the hold, so it would hurt a lot more.
Both run the ropes, and Kairi catches with a spear. Utami goes to this brain buster, but gets countered into a DDT from Kairi. And then Kairi repositions Utami and goes up top for the elbow, but Utami gets right back up and goes after her and hits this avalanche air raid crash for a 2 count. Great near fall here. Kairi comes back with the cutlass, goes for the sliding D, but it's blocked by just a kick to the face. And then Utami hits the hammerlock DDT, but holds on like right into this Kimura lock. I thought this looked great. I think Andrade should maybe. Kairi with a great selling here, screaming, reaching for the ropes, and she just gets her toes on it to kind of block, to break the hold. And then Utami transitions this into a guillotine choke, and we think Kairi's fading out. The ref raises her arm once, raises it twice, but Kairi shows signs of life, and then Utami hoists her up into this spinning razor's edge, which looked awesome.
Yeah, like the Eye of the Storm, I think it's kind of similar to James Storm used to do. Like, you spin, but the torque on it was so much that she just comes crashing to the mat.
Goes for the pin, but Kairi rolls to the outside, and then she strings Utami up on the ropes, does her double stomp, goes for the insane elbow, but the time limit goes, the bell rings, and Kokukigan are going crazy at the 15-minute draw. So yes, I guess both have to lose their pageantry, right? Because neither secured the win.
That's right. No more costumes for either. You both.
I don't think Kairi can stroll into Wrestle Kingdom in her rookie gear.
Yeah.
Wow. So they both don't. It's nullified.
Yes.
It's just like, it's a draw.
It's
they
had no bet.
They had some great back and forth. Like, obviously this was a shorter match with 15 minutes, but there was some like bullying from Utami here, where she's just like really taking it to Kairi, which I like. Those air raid crashes, the one off the top, that spin out move was very impressive. But she likes to do a lot of spin out moves, the sleeper spinning thing and stuff. But from what I've seen from bits and pieces of her for the past year or so, like she's pretty good as well. And I think they're around the same age. So like, I wonder if we ever see Utami kind of leave Stardom, just kind of like Kairi has done. But for a shorter match, I still pretty got into it.
I enjoyed this one of like the post WWE, because it kind of reverted back to the, you know, Kairi more as an underdog babyface against the bigger sort of more of the power moves and the bullying, which is a dynamic I enjoyed. But yeah, I wouldn't put this towards the top of the list, but I thought this was really enjoyable. And again, glad I didn't read it was a draw beforehand.
The reason I picked this match was that it was very much the Utami had to prove herself. She wanted to show Kairi, this is what you've been missing out on. You may have put Stardom on the map, but I'm the one who's getting those Meltzer 5-star matches, not you. I'm the reason why that people have been watching more Stardom, not you. So it was very much I like this one just because, again, it kind of bookends Kairi's journey as Kairi, all caps, because it's she's coming in as the veteran. She's elevating talent that, like, Utami doesn't need to be elevated further, but it's one of those things where it's like, this is one of those dream matches that when Kairi came back, this was one of the first names that people were dropping that they wanted to see happen. And what I also like about it is that I guess it's probably this one and the Kasaya match are probably two of the more timelier picks, largely because they've both been out with injury. Kamitani dislocated her elbow the very first night of the 5-star Grand Prix back in July, and Utami's been out for a couple of months now, and they're both coming back next weekend, I believe, at one of Stardom's shows. So, and they're a tag team, incidentally, the pair of them in Queen's Quest. So Queen's Quest has been down two of their biggest names and arguably two of Stardom's biggest names right now. So it's very much kind of like a pre-homecoming match for them. So that's why I kind of wanted to include them as well.
I'd go like a 4 on this one. I feel like if it wasn't a 15-minute draw, there'd be another 15 minutes in the match that would definitely take it to like a next level. So definitely not one of my favorites that we watched, but I've seen Hayashishita before, and I know that she can get to that next level. So wonder if they ever kind of do it again somehow, some way.
I went 4.25 on this one.
I also went 4.25.
Were you at this too?
I was not, but the problem with Dream Queendom is that it's their very last show of the year. This is like their version of Wrestle Kingdom. So It's a very long card. So as much as I would have loved them to be like, 5 more minutes, give them 5 more minutes. The card was so long that there was no room for 5 more minutes for this match. But I do hope that at some point, at some stage in either of their careers, they get to revisit it. And somebody, figure one of the. I want Utami to finally beat her. Like Kairi's kind of like the I usually use the phrase like she's the wall or the mountain that has to be scaled. Like for Kamitani, Tam is always the wall. For Starlight Kid, Mayu is always the wall. The one person that they can't seem to beat. I would like to see Kairi go have one of those 45-minute classics with Utami if they're ever allowed to do that. But yeah.
One day.
Cage Match has this at a 7.50.
Nice.
Maybe before we give our decision, what is the best Kairi Sane match of all time? Mention a couple of honorable mentions that our listeners can go and check out.
Well, I mean, if you do listen to the previous edition of Best Match Ever where I visited, I would also throw that Io Shirai match.
Yes.
Any Io match. Yeah.
Any of their matches, but that one in particular. If you do have access to Stardom World, I'd recommend chasing up the Kairi collection because there's an Mayu Iwatani match, there's a Meiko Satomura match, there is an Io Shirai match, and that's why I wanted to pick other matches of theirs that didn't reflect those particular ones, but those are all great matches. There's also a great match against Kagetsu. It's a tag where it's a tag team match with Kairi and Yoko Bito, who's been retired for some time now. But it's Kagetsu and Hanakamura's mom Kyoko for the Goddesses of Stardom Championship.
Wow.
And is there
so
any
lots
other
of matches
one?
on Stardom World?
Oh yeah, there's also on Stardom World there is the SWA Undisputed Women's World Championship, which was in Stardom Golden Week, which was May 2017, which incidentally, it was Kairi Hojo versus Toni Storm, which we would revisit several months later in the finals of the Mae Young Classic.
Mhm.
So for all you Mae Young Classic nerds, I definitely chase this matchup.
And shout out to when Kairi faced Mercedes just recently, like this past year, right?
Yep.
Where Mercedes came in there, and I watched that and thought that was a pretty good match as well. So really, like she's had a pretty long career now. Watching some of these matches where they're like, oh, she's only been wrestling for a few years, and now kind of spanning throughout her career. I'm like, oh, I want to see what can happen next with her, with EO and Damage Control and everything that they do, because I think they realize, hey, like, we got a little bit of a star on our hands and we let her slip away once and we ain't going to let her do that again. And I'm happy that Triple H maybe is realizing that, like, hey, look, like, she's got a great look. She's a pirate. Yeah. She's a princess, kind of. She's now sort of evil, and she's a great wrestler.
I feel like because she was in the US for like a lot of the pandemic as well, it was, hey, look, Kairi, go home, see your family, see your husband, do what you want to do over there, wrestle some matches, get some matches you want to get out of the way done, come back, and I promise you we'll keep Nia Jax away from you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so far, so good.
Yeah. But great to watch these matches and go through them, because there is so many of them that that's why she made a name for herself. That's why she got to the Mae Young Classic and got to WWE in the first place, that they saw a star in her. And watching these, I'm like, man, she is just awesome. And I mean, it's pretty much already we've established.
Is it unanimous?
Yeah, it seems like a unanimous clean sweep here as we batten down the hatches for this pirate princess. I think we all agreed on the Io Shirai versus Kairi Hojo match that we talked about, because it was just so good, and I would definitely go back to rewatch it.
I put the Meiko match a very close second, but
correct.
the Io match does just beat it. We do have one piece of feedback as well from Jesse from the 6, who said, I only had time to watch one match on the list. I chose Kairi versus Meiko Satomura. It was great. I first saw Kairi in the Mae Young Classic and was instantly enamored. I don't think I saw anybody sell as well since Shawn Michaels retired. I knew her size would work against her in WWE, but with her high work rate and overall adorability, I saw a main eventer in her right away. Her first run in the Fed was decent, but she didn't quite hit those aspirational highs. While I think she's definitely better as a babyface, I think she's a pretty good heel too, despite her small size. Where will you put Kairi's spear on your best spear ever list? She's definitely top 5, and top 5 for best elbow drops ever too. Take care.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse.
Her elbow might be the best, in my opinion.
Her elbow is good.
So good.
She makes it look a lot better than a lot of the other wrestlers out there, just because the way she moves in midair. She's definitely practiced this. And, like, you know, certain people, you think of Macho Man, he almost just like floats down and lands on them. Whereas,
it looks like she's driving the elbow through your chest.
Yeah, she's really hitting that elbow in there. And the spear, I mean, yeah, she's better than a lot of other spears in wrestling right now. So I know Braun Breaker wears best spear in the business.
Goes Braun Breaker, Kairi, Goldberg,
Roman,
Rhino,
Edge.
Edge is down.
Oh, he is at the bottom there. Yeah.
Oh God, you say that as a Canadian?
I know, but we just really love Kairi. I mean, I need to see those some dream matches now that she's back in WWE. We need to see her versus Io one more time. We need to see her versus Asuka. We need to see Kairi versus Brock Lesnar. Yep. Give the people what they want. Stop messing around. You want to sell out
Kairi versus Roman. She's the head of the table. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Yeah, we need Kairi versus everyone. Why not? Book it. So loved looking back on these matches, and I'm hoping we inspired some people to check out some of this stuff and realize there's a whole other world of wrestling, a Stardom world across the old pond there. So great list, Karen. As usual, now you come prepared and you school us on some great pro wrestling, and it's so much fun to nerd out and watch some stuff that we aren't too familiar on, and then become even bigger fans of. So it was a blast to do this with you again today.
So I always love coming to visit, and it's always one of those things where now my gears are already grinding. I'm like, well, who's next?
What can we do next?
Who am I gonna? I mean, We could do Julia at some point, but
I think if Julia is coming
Yeah.
to WWE, I think that would be a great thing to do,
Big fan.
and maybe even put out for free to kind of educate listeners who are going to start seeing her. Maybe, but nothing's confirmed yet. But there's rumblings, aren't there?
There are rumblings, but it's one of those things that with the Stardom has a lot of injuries right now, including Tam, who was the world champion, who they had to vacate her title. They also vacated the Goddesses of Stardom championships. They just lost Kairi, obviously. And Julia is the leader of one of the most popular factions in Stardom. So right now, and also being New Japan Strong Women's Champion, there are a lot of plans that hinge upon Julia for at least the next month and a half to, if not 2 or 3 months.
Right.
In Japan, typically, even though you're contracted somewhere and you have like a 5-year contract or a 3-year contract or what have you, you have to re-sign or basically verify that you wish to continue the contract annually. And I believe someone mentioned that it was probably, I think it was Meltzer said that her contract isn't up until March in 2024. Early March, late March. Are we going to wait to see if she's going to be ringside at a takeover? We don't know. But it's one of those things where she's already been, I've seen her on the graphics for New Japan's Battle in the Valley in January after Wrestle Kingdom. So it's possible that at least until January, she's not going anywhere. Yeah. And it's also one of those things that she can't just rock up to the PC here in Orlando without Stardom's blessing. They've gone through the loss of Io, they've gone through the loss of Kairi. I feel like they're going to be a lot more judicious, especially because the way that Julia came into the company, there was a bit of some scandal surrounding that. And I feel like Julia learned her lesson at that time that she can't do an Irish exit, as it were, and just show up in WWE because the company, she was one of the people that Stardom built around her in the Bushiroad era. So it's one of those things like she's too important that would I like to see her in WWE? Yes. Do I think she'll be treated like a star in WWE or AEW or whoever picks her up? Yes. But the timing has to be right. And it can't be at the detriment of Stardom.
Well, we'll see if she shows up.
Put that one on ice, Ribbon, right now. And maybe a Meiko Satomura one would be good soon as well.
I got you.
Once she shows her face again on TV, I don't know where she's gone right now, but we could absolutely do a Satomura.
Yes. Thank you, Karen. Let the people know where they can find you and what you got going on. I always love your stuff on postwrestling.com. You're a wizard when it comes to this stuff.
Well, speaking of the postwrestling.com, I have a monthly column called Dream Slam Monthly. The next edition, the November edition, is coming out this Saturday, which is what I'm going to be spending the next couple of days of my Thanksgiving vacation on, is wrapping up the entire month in Joshi. I also tend to do the New Japan podcast with Bruce Lord. I have also recently debuted as the new co-host of Post Pro Res with WH Park.
Hey,
our next episode, I believe, will be dropping on December 1st to wrap up the month of November. For those who read the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the latest issue that just came out, I believe it has the glorious Toni Storm on the cover. I did a review of Spark Joshi Pro Res and the influence and impact of Joshi has had on the international market as of late. What else? Other than that, you can follow me on X or Twitter or Instagram, whatever you call it, at Hey Karen Sensei, and that's about it for me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Karen. It was
Karen.
So much fun to watch all this stuff. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us here today. We hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did. And for Kairi, you can follow us, poisonrana.ca, for all the links of our fun shows and all the other shows that we do. And that's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And
we all need to sign off the same way this time.
I mean, why do you think he ever started saying it on this show?
Absolutely.
Ahoy!